They're at it again. The View, HBO's Bill Maher, liberal filmmaker Michael Moore bashing the president for the most memorable and profound moment of his speech the other night. Both sides of the political aisle applauded it. He honored the widow of a Navy SEAL killed fighting al-Qaeda in Yemen. It's one of the country's most vicious enemies. Taya Kyle, the widow of American sniper Chris Kyle, responded, telling Fox that these accusations literally made her sick.
It makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me angry. I get the ideas that it would be nice to say everything is a political ploy. It totally negates, though, the meaning behind this. And the meaning of it, for all the people watching who cried with her, is that some valiant people are out there fighting, not for Republicans, not for Democrats. They're fighting for this country, and God bless them for doing it.
Joining me now is the founder of America's Mighty Warriors, a Gold Star mother herself, Debbie Lee. Okay, Debbie, Bill Maher, Michael Moore, The View, I mean, they might argue that they're thinking only of Carryn Owens, but Carryn herself said she wanted to be at the speech. And we've got soldiers telling us that the thoughts like this, that comments that they heard are poison, that the hatred of Trump is, and their own personal gain and personal satisfaction has resulted in these so-called pundits belittling the Navy SEAL's widow. What do you think, Debbie?
I think it's absolutely unconscionable. You know, I've heard those comments that saying she was manipulated, that, you know, she was taken advantage of. And I want to tell you, our women that are married to Navy SEALs, those of us who birthed Navy SEALs, are strong women, and nobody manipulates us. Nobody uses us. I personally met with President Trump in November and spent about 3 or 4 minutes with him one-on-one. A very compassionate man, a very sincere man. He asked me deep questions about the grieving process and about Mark. And this was the first loss on his watch that he's had to deal with. He went to Dover. He met with those families during their toughest time and built a relationship and a rapport with that widow. And so when the phone call was made to Carryn to reach out to her to come, she wanted to do that to honor her husband and the sacrifice that he made. And I am so proud of each and every one of our men and women who serve, the sacrifices they make for the freedoms that we enjoy each and every day. And it was disgusting to me to see at that moment that was not about President Trump. It was about Ryan Owens, the sacrifice that he made. It was about his widow. It was about each and every other man and woman like my son who've given their life. And that we had members of Congress who could not stand up to honor our fallen. And I want to say to them, get your little group together that didn't want to stand up and honor them. I will fly into Washington, D.C. I will meet with you because obviously you don't know how to honor our fallen. And I would be glad to let them know the sacrifices that are made. And so next time this won't happen again.
You know, Debbie, I think you've confronted Michael Moore. Before you tell us that story, can you tell us what happened to your son?
You bet. Mark Lee was the first Navy SEAL that was killed in Iraq, August 2nd, 2006. And that young man willingly stood up in the direct line of fire 3 different times that day. He made the choice to sacrifice his life so that his teammates could live. He gave the gift of life to them, and it trickles down to us. The freedoms that we have in America are paid for with a deep price. And my son was one of those that made that choice. He was with Chris Kyle was with him when he died, and he became like family to me, so it's a double whammy losing him. But these are amazing heroes who love our country, who love their families, who love God and want to make sure that the freedoms that we have here in America are paid for. And he wrote an amazing letter a couple weeks before he was killed, and I would encourage your listeners to go to our website at americasmightywarriors.org and read that.
And we'll
letter filled with humanity and compassion, and talks about amazing things. And that's why we started our foundation, to continue to support Carryn Owens and her family, to support all of those whose loved ones have paid for the price of our freedom, to make sure our troops are taken care of, and they have what they need when they come back home.
You know, Debbie, we know that Ryan Owens' father is upset. He wouldn't meet with President Trump. Apparently this raid in Yemen was planned before President Trump took office. So there's that going on, right? But getting back to Carryn Owens, the widow, and how what is going on with Carryn is being so distorted. It's as if nobody's talking to Carryn about how she felt about it and how she said, yes, I want to be at the speech. And we know that Democrats have invited guests to score political points. The Gold Star mom and dad at Hillary's convention, the parents who've lost children in gun violence. And you talked about how Democrats did not even stand. But then we have Michael Moore and Bill Maher weighing in. You've confronted Michael Moore in the past. What happened?
There was a circumstance that was actually after the movie American Sniper came out, and he was boycotting the movie, and he said that our snipers are cowards. And that disgusts me. He had no clue who our men and women are in the military. He has no clue what the Navy SEALs do. And so I challenged him at that point. I said, Michael Moore, obviously you don't know what you're talking about, so meet me at the SEAL compound. We'll go down there, and for just a half a day, I won't even take you to the combat zone and have you have to walk through what our troops endure every day. Come meet me down there. Of course, he never accepted the challenge to do that. He just wants to spew those evil, uneducated, hateful things out of his mouth, and he has no idea who our men and women who serve and the sacrifices they are and the warriors that they are.
Thank you, Debbie Lee, and thank you for coming on the show and for your service for our country, and we're so sorry over the loss of your son. Please come back and join us soon. We would love to have you back on the show, Debbie.